So I have yet to make a video on this channel really about Jimmy Dore, and I figured it's about time. Now, one of the problems of critiquing Jimmy Dore is that he's very boring. um, Even though his cadence is infectious and he does have a good charisma, the topics that he chooses to continually cover are usually very, very boring because it's a rehash of the same old thing, same old thing, same old thing. For those who aren't aware, Jimmy Dore is a sellout. He is a right-wing propagandist through and through. I don't care if he is trying to say he's the last true disaffected liberal lefty blah 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 blah. No, he's a right-wing propagandist spewing anti-vax content, going in and jerking it off with Tucker Carlson. Nah, he's a right-winger. But even more so, to show how much of a right-winger is, he's going to stand for a human sex trafficker and child diddler sex pest Matt Gaetz. So here we go.
Now, you're not supposed to go along with this because he has politics we don't like. So Gaetz introduces a resolution to end military and financial aid to Ukraine, and he urges a peace deal.
All right. Now, here's the thing. There are lots of people that want to do that. There are lots of people who want to do that. Now, sure, it might be Matt Gaetz, noted Beavis impersonator and sex pest. Yeah, and most likely, allegedly, human trafficking sex criminal who likes young girls, but allegedly. But it's kind of interesting, though, to jump on and stand for him because he's a demonstrably bad human being. It's just kind of weird. Also, I don't know why Jimmy cannot keep his tongue out of his lips. He does this thing lately, and it's like he's like having lip to tongue intercourse with his mouth constantly. I think it's because he's salivating over how much money he's making since he's switched to the right wing grift. But I mean, that might be me.
Now, I'm supposed to not.
All the wrong people want peace.
All the wrong people want peace, Kurt.
Yeah, because if we stop giving money to Ukraine, there will be peace. Yeah, Russia will just be like, okay, we're just gonna stop. It's totally fine, of course.
Somebody tweeted at me, all the wrong people like you now. Someone tweeted at me, a grown man.
That's cult thinking.
No, if you change your positions to being awful, and somebody's like, wow, awful people now agree with your awful opinions, that's just their opinion. Like, I get the whole thing of, like, it shouldn't be about team sports. And it's not about team sports necessarily. But if you're going hand in hand, tip to tip, brother to brother, bone to bone, with anti-vax, right-wing Putin apologists, then it's very fair for people to call that out.
I was like, are you, what are you, a middle school girl?
Yes.
That is wild.
I think that's sexist to say middle school girls. Representative Matt Gaetz is introducing a resolution.
Is that comedy? I don't know. Lip to lip. That's right. Lip to lip. Yeah. Peace.
In the House on Thursday that calls on the Biden administration to end U.S. military and financial aid to Ukraine while also urging all involved to secure a peace agreement after nearly a year of war in the region. Isn't this what the Bernie Sanders and AOC and Jamal, isn't this what they should be doing?
Everybody wants peace. Sure. You have an invading army into a country. Like, it's been pretty clearly communicated. All that they have to do is stop and go home. That's it. It doesn't matter what we over here do. They are still going to want to do that. The only difference is if people stop helping Ukraine, Ukraine loses. It's not any more complicated than that. This is so wild.
No, what they're doing is cheering on censorship and voting for war.
Cheering on censorship, like that has anything to do with this at all. This is look at Jimmy's face in this. Like, he's not even bringing himself to the table. He's reading off of the right-wing flowchart of like, okay, make sure we mention something about cancel culture, even though it has nothing to do with it. So that'll get the attention of the barking, mindless masses being like, yeah, cancel culture is bullshit. I said something ignorant in the grocery store once and people had a problem with it, and I think about it every night when I go to sleep. Like,
Even the Iraq War did not have this much censorship built into it
I know.
as this does.
what do you mean
The
censorship?
resolution, the Ukraine fatigue resolution, is being introduced by Gaetz and 10 co-sponsors and calls for the U.S. to end its military and financial aid to Ukraine and urges all combatants to reach a peace agreement. Now, shouldn't every progressive Democrat be a co-signer to that?
No. Why not start with the peace agreement? Like, how this is so fascinating. And because the thing is, too, this is a war between two countries in Europe, Eurasia, whatever, right? And what we're talking about right now are basically Dore simping for right-wing politicians and how they're interfacing and him trying to use that as a way to cast doubt on left-leaning politicians, because that's what he's getting paid to do. And these two things are not connected. The only thing is that he's utilizing funding to Ukraine in order to have that conversation. It's dehumanizing the actual aspect of what's going on and instead utilizing it for this can't swear on YouTube anymore. Ridiculous. Team sports fighting. It's really obnoxious.
No, they're war pigs. The Democratic Party is pro-war pigs.
Wasn't AOC just complaining that they're
You remember how Trump was? We were pretty sure Trump was going to get us out of Afghanistan, and then he just didn't do it. But he made a plan, and everybody's like, "Yeah, good for you. You made a plan. Okay, you should do it." And then he didn't. And then Biden showed up, and Biden just did it, you know? Like, granted, then again, I can also say Obama never got us out of it either. But you know what? Fuck Obama. Not supposed to swear. Screw all of them.
doing a hearing about the half-fake Hunter Biden
Yes.
laptop story.
Yeah.
And we could be talking about more important things.
This will be one
such as this thing you should be doing. You're right, AOC.
I don't know who this bald guy is, but he reminds me of a parrot.
You should be doing this.
The resolution notes that since Russia invaded Ukraine in February 2022, the U.S. has been the top contributor to the Ukraine war effort, more than $110 billion in financial, military, and humanitarian aid to the U.S.
Money's not real, but okay. Yeah. Since Russia invaded.
We send that money so they can have clean water in Ukraine. We won't send money to America so we can have clean water.
True. That's true. But if you don't send the money to Ukraine, it's not like magically that's going to fix the water. Now, is it? But you're not going to say that, Jimmy, because that's not what this is about.
That's amazing. It also includes more than $27.4 billion in security assistance. Oh, that's all the Blackwater Rock, all that stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is they called now?
BlackRock. They changed their name.
They changed their name.
They did?
In January, the U.S. announced additional security assistance, including approval by President Biden of 31 Abrams M1 tanks to Ukraine.
Sure.
On top of that, reports suggest another $2 billion could be spent in the pipeline. This is
Okay. I mean, look, I don't like war. I don't want war. There's one solution to this war. Russia, go home. That's it. That's it. Just Russia needs to just go home. Go home. Stop the war. It's Russia's war. That's it.
It's about freedom. Freedom for Ukraine. Freedom for everywhere.
He's nutting at the thought of the checks clearing from his right-wing piggy banks that are funding this entire sellout move that he's done.
Biden said that. It's about freedom. Freedom everywhere. Freedom bombs. They're freedom bombs. Freedom tanks. Freedom.
I mean, except I guess in Afghanistan where the Taliban there, it'll be.
Well, we left them tanks there so Afghanistan they could have the freedom.
You know, we left them so much stuff that it's just rotting. Like they're not even using it.
How could they keep it maintained? They can't.
Is that the first time we've ever paid reparations for screwing up a country?
The resolution.
Wow, pro-reparations stance. That's interesting.
Resolution lists the enormous amount of equipment that the U.S. has provided the country since the beginning of the conflict. It also cites Pentagon officials who have said the munitions have severely depleted United States stockpiles, weakening United States readiness in the event of a conflict.
Well,
you know what's interesting about that? If you switch this even slightly and understand that that means big business for defense contractors, which both Republicans and Democrats are going to be gleefully happy about because they're one of the biggest lobby groups, then this is actually quite good pro-American capitalism for having to replenish. But I'm sure everybody thinks that the United States is super weak right now because we gave some of our stuff to Ukraine. Like, oh my God, the most powerful military in the world gave 2% of its stockpile to a country to stave off Russian aggression, and we're just standing there with our dicks out, man. We're just standing there with our dicks out, of course.
Let's get more money into that. Whoa, I guess we got a lot of jobs.
So I don't think he really wants to end. I don't think Matt Gaetz is for ending war spending. I think maybe he just wants to end it on Ukraine.
You worry about China. How much you want to bet is to worry about China?
I bet. Concern about the continued, but I'll take it. I'll take whatever I can get. Concern about the continued U.S. funding of the war.
That's the catch. That's the Jimmy Dore catch. Like, see, I'm not actually just like in the pocket of the right wingers. You know, it could be this, it could be that. But nah, man. Transparent. It's transparent to anybody who has half a brain.
War has grown among a subset of Republicans. Not a subset of Democrats, but a subset of Republicans.
Right, because Biden is in charge. If it was Trump or DeSantis that was doing this, they would be on board with it. And everybody knows that. Everybody knows that. I think it would be interesting, though, if we had a Republican president right now and this is going on, I would be curious to see how many Democrats would actually be trying to cut funding. I don't think that there would really be that many. I don't think so. Maybe some, but I don't think it would be nearly as much or as pronounced.
The conflict has dragged on, with lawmakers highlighting issues at home that could use additional funding, including what they see as a failure to protect the U.S. border against historic migrant crisis.
Illegal immigration is down. It has been, is what it is. But yeah, again, if you do not spend money in one location, it does not magically mean that that money will be spent somewhere else. That is not how government spending works. It's not how it's ever worked. It's just an excuse. It's a political talking point. When somebody says something like that, disregard their opinion. They are not being honest.
Gaetz, a member of the House Armed Service Committee, said the U.S. has been the top contributor to what he called an everlasting conflict. America is in a state of managed decline, and it will exacerbate if we continue to hemorrhage taxpayer dollars toward a foreign war.
Yeah, it's barely making any kind of a dent in taxpayer dollars. There are way, way bigger issues with how we misuse and abuse our taxpayer dollars. And has been that way for decades. But, you know, this is just the latest whiny, cry kind of stuff.
We must suspend all foreign aid for the war in Ukraine and demand that all combatants in this conflict reach a peace agreement immediately.
Yeah, I'm sure Putin's going to do that. Yeah, I'm sure Putin's going to do that. Be like, oh, the guy who looks like Beavis from Beavis and Butthead. The one who... Yeah, the one who ordered all those underage prostitutes from us, a couple years back. Yeah, that guy. Yeah. Well, we better stop then. Okay, it's fine. Sure. I am a baby and I have very, very good political opinions. Whatever.
Sounds like really lefty foo-foo shit.
Yeah, no wonder Rachel hates it.
I bet you're right. No, Rachel Maddow laughs at this and says, these are all the people who signed it.
Get a job, hippies.
Gaetz has taken aim at both parties for the additional funding for Ukraine earlier this week on the House floor, asking if there was a limit to the funding the U.S. was prepared to provide.
And it is interesting, too, because, like, there is two different right-wing politics happening right now. You have establishment Republicans who are being held hostage by, I would say, far-right people. And then the far-right people have an extreme amount of funding and have been pushing to not only convert YouTubers, but also to slowly twist and turn organizations, TPUSA, big name partisan hacks like Tucker Carlson, further and further into like casting doubts on mainstream Republicans to get them to go further and harder right. It's how it is these days.
We just told you no.
No, there isn't. How much more for Ukraine? Is there any limit, he asked on the House floor? Which billionth dollar really kicks in the door? Which red line we set we will not later on. He's doing a good job with this. I gotta give him the tip. Republican leadership
Sure.
has broadly remained in favor of funding the war effort. Senator GOP Mitch McConnell said in December that providing assistance for Ukrainians to defeat Russia is the number one priority for the United States right now, according to most Republicans.
Well, thanks for telling me what my number one priority is, I guess.
Holy shit, man. America is not your number one priority in this country. That's how detached these guys are. They realize how crazy it is to say something like that, where half the country can't afford a $500 emergency. Your number one priority is some fucking proxy war in Ukraine.
It's not like if you didn't give money to Ukraine, they would be doing anything about it anyway. Remember, money's not real. Money is not real. That's not how government funding works. It's not how it's ever worked. It's just it's empty. You know, the thing that drives me crazy about this kind of thing, this is what really kills me. There is finite time. Okay? There's finite time. And granted, we do have a biosphere that replenishes itself, but at the same time, like, we do consume energy. And if we're talking about the best uses for just a fully functioning biosphere, it feels like such a waste of biochemical energy every single time one of these hollow-headed, paint by numbers, follow the flow chart political analysts try and make this brain-dead point of, if we just didn't give the money over here, we could use the money over there, because it's never happened. It does not happen. We got out of Afghanistan. We had tens of billions of dollars that we could now do anything we wanted with. Did we fix our crumbling infrastructure? No. Did we make sure kids can eat? No. Did we get any veterans off the street that were homeless? No, we didn't do any of that. The biggest surplus of money that we then had, that we've ever had in the past 3 decades. And did we use that money for anything good? No. So trying to make this stupid point that Jimmy knows is a stupid point. Jimmy's not a dumb guy. He's just really well paid to regurgitate the same boring lines over and over and over again. Jimmy Dore saying this says nothing. It is a waste of energy. And it's an offense to the physics of our universe that somebody that actually does have a brain would engage in this kind of useless rhetoric.
No, America's behind it. They're not fatigued. Have you read the articles? There's no such thing as Ukraine fatigue. I actually read that.
Jesus. However, in October, House Leader Kevin McCarthy was more cautious, saying the Republicans wouldn't write a blank check for Ukraine. Oh, look at that. Hey, the squad, nowhere to be seen as Ukraine package sails through.
Well, she had to be scolding people for wasting time about a nonsense laptop story. She didn't have time for this. We could be doing more important things than this, talking about this.
So that they're all war pigs. The Squad, Bernie, they're all war pigs, and they're being out.
Jimmy Dore is politics for 15-year-olds. I'm sorry. He has no other value anymore in any of these conversations. He is right-wing politics, paint by numbers, grooming for teenagers. That's it. He has nothing more to offer anyone who pays taxes, honestly. And he's also a coward. He just recently went and claimed that he didn't spit on Alex Jones back in the day, and I actually had a spit take because he doesn't want to alienate Alex Jones fans that he might then be courting because he's doing this right-wing hard pivot. He's a coward. Jimmy, you're a coward. You're an absolute coward, and you're brain lit. And I have no respect for you.